both of us have him at number 1 here. And look, we talked about this before we got to the segment. I got to open up with this. I know that we get on Dabo Swinney a lot. He says a lot of crazy stuff. And, he did the whole TikTok thing. He talked about the only name, image, and likeness that I want to do is with Jesus. And a lot of people rag on him. A lot of people, myself included, ragged on Clemson and him this year because they went 0 for 3 against the SEC. The problem that I have at the current moment with Dabo Swinney and why he will continue to be my number 1 on the ACC list. Joey's 180-47. His worst year in the ACC was a year ago. Amongst the last decades of standards, they went 9-4. So that means of the last 10 years, Joe, they've won double-digit games in 9 of them. And I look at Dabo and I think to myself, and just the overall college football's landscape of Dabo Swinney. Oh, they're not living up to expectations. Dabo hasn't adapted. Well, Joe, he's adapted a little because he had to. The thing with Clemson here, man, is that, and why he's the number 1, he has the national championships. He is changing his ways a little. And listen, man, for what it's worth, they just won the conference again. How many times does he have to win it? We keep talking about Dabo. Oh, no, man, this is a year for Dabo. He's going to get knocked off again. At the end of the year, there they are in the playoffs yet again. Dabo Swinney has been the most consistent head coach in the ACC for over the last 2 decades. It's not remotely close, and you know how much I hate saying remotely close, but it's not. Today I did something, and I kind of got blown away. I should have known better, but I asked you this question. I went down his coaching record, and I'm like, good Lord. Good Lord. I mean, like, he's been there for 17 seasons. Think about that. He's got 180 wins. That's 11 wins per season. It's 11 wins per season.
And it's prolific.
He's my number 1, and as we don't like to say, but we will say, it's not remotely close.
No, it's not remotely close, and it almost is like a moot point to reiterate all the great things that he's done. I throw one, before I kind of look ahead, I throw one comical wrench in there. I laugh at what led to his brief, almost significant downturn. DJ Uyunglele. What led to
Mike Norvell
downturn? Right, Mike Norvell. DJU is the harbinger of death.
How about this?
Yes,
Dabo won 10 games with him twice.
Which those were some of the ugliest 10-win seasons. But it also kind of set up that lull that they had over the past couple of years where, they just weren't the same level of dominant. Their offense was super shaky and inconsistent. And where this future outlook goes and why, I'm suddenly a lot more bought in on Dabo. And for anyone who wants to give me the BS of you're flipping your opinion. Yeah, well, when I get new information, I change my viewpoint. He has done such a good job this offseason of dipping into the portal and not just going and grabbing a bunch of random dipshits. You're going and getting some premier quality guys. I've talked so highly of Will Helt. This past recruiting class wasn't great, and we've talked concerns, but this 2026 group that they're putting together is already off to a really hot start. They're 5th overall, and just yesterday, they pulled 2 of the top receiver recruits in this class, that being Connor Solomon, who's the 19th ranked receiver recruit per 247 Sports, and Naeem Burrows, who's the 24th ranked receiver recruit. My biggest thing, when I feel like we talk a lot on what has been the key to success for Dabo, it's been the defensive line, it's been the defense. But I would take a step further. They have not been as good over these past few years because they haven't had the premier receivers that we were used to seeing them having. I mean, Justin Dross, Sammy Watkins, Mike Williams, all of those guys that were unbelievable talents were a big driving force for their offensive success.
Yeah.
This upcoming season, they've got some kids that are going to be great, and I think more of a commitment to recruiting top receivers is going to help them get back there.
Well, look, they had a lot of freshmen at wide receiver this past year. I think, I saw a couple of LSU people in here. You better get familiar with them really quickly. Here's the thing, though, Joe. I don't think that's let me say it like this. I do think the Brent Venables leaving has been a bigger problem than they want to acknowledge. Without a question. Joe, it wasn't the receiver's fault in the 3 losses to the SEC this year. It was that they got dominated up front. And look, I love Tom Allen. We've talked about him a lot. The big thing with me with Clemson, and if we're talking about recruiting here, so this is why I'm going here. They got to go back to recruiting how they were on that defensive line. Now they feel like they have. I mean, you get. I don't know. Can Will Help be that guy? Now, that is an ultimate question. Maybe they do fix some things. Maybe things do change under Tom Allen will be a big question. But, man, in reference to them recruiting, they had a bad season this past year in recruiting. If this is what I talk about all the time. Either you're going to have to go in the portal, which Dabo did for the first time, or you're going to have that strong foundation of guys in high school, which I still think is the ultimate way that you win here. You're right with them. I think Dabo is adapting a little bit. And good. And listen, man, so what of what he said in the past? So what? Joe, we're wrong on here all the time, right? Like we're more right than we are wrong, and that's what we try to do. We're wrong, and he was wrong about what he needed to do, and he adapted to it. It's going to be interesting to see how he adapts moving forward. And listen, throwing this out there. With an ACC with some of these mid-tier teams that are rising a little, I don't think in the last couple of years that he had at Miami that he had to worry about. What does Fran Brown do in year 2? Can they be more consistent? Oh, by the way, the guy we're going to talk about next, what does Billy B do in North Carolina? So we'll see. Got a massive game in week 1. We'll see, man. But he is